Hi everybody, this is Laura, City Scrapper. Thank you so much for joining me on my channel. Today I have a layout that I made for this month's Stretch the Sketch. In this hop, we take a sketch that was intended for a 12 by 12 inch layout, and we either stretch it to a larger format or we shrink it to a smaller format. For this month's layout, I'm going to make a 2-page spread. I'm using a Pebbles collection called Birthday Wishes, and I know it's an old collection because I got it years and years ago in AC Moore, which is no longer around. I'm also using a Simple Stories collection called Let's Party, and even though it's a newer collection, it's still pretty old. I got most of that in Tuesday Morning years ago. I'm using 2 papers from the Pebbles pad. I have a neutral background paper. It's off-white with some typed letters. I wanted to mat this neutral paper on something a little darker, so I decided to use a black paper that was in the paper pad, and luckily I had 2 sheets of the neutral paper and 2 sheets of this black paper. I gutted the black paper and then I mounted it on a piece of 12 by 12 inch cardstock that I knew I wouldn't use, and then I repeated the process for the other side. I used the large Creative Memory circle cutter and I cut a piece of blue pattern paper, it's a dot, and then I cut a piece of black pattern paper a little bit bigger, that is also a dot. I cut the circle in half. I wasn't sure if I was going to put the circles on the 2 far ends or have them meet in the center. I decided to put the 2 halves of the circle in the center so that when you hold the 2 pages together, it will be a complete circle. I also wanted to follow along with the sketch and have a strip of paper going down the center of the layout. I used a colorful striped paper, and then I used that same dotted black paper that I used to mount the blue circle on, and I used an EK Success punch to punch out some scalloped borders, and then I attached them on both sides of the strip, and now I'm just trying to figure out where the center of the page is, and I'm using the rows of letters on the pattern page to help me do that. Now I'm adhering that strip down to the layout, and I'm again using the pattern on the paper to make sure that the strip is placed on there straight. And then I went ahead and attached down that half circle, and then I did the same thing to the other side. In the sketch, the strip of paper that goes down the center of the layout, they have that layered on top of the circle. I decided to put that behind my circle. The sketch has quite a few smaller circles going around the outside of the larger circle. I found that I had quite a few brads from the Simple Stories Let's Party collection. These are those self-adhesive brads, and I realized I actually had 3 packs of them. I don't really know how that happened. Probably what happened was that I went to Tuesday Morning, forgot that I had purchased the brads. Sometimes I would buy them months later. They would get the same kinds of items in months later. So I guess I had more than I really needed, and I thought this was a perfect opportunity to use them. So I started off with 1 pack, and then I soon realized I was going to need more than 1 pack of brads. Just like in the sketch, these brads are different sizes, so I decided to mix all the different sizes together and try to space them fairly evenly around the outside of the circle. And since the brads were self-adhesive, I cut the plastic backing into small pieces so that I could arrange them around the circle before I stuck them down. So finally, I like the arrangement of the brads, and now I'm pulling those pieces of plastic off the back and sticking them all down to the page. The photos that I'm scrapbooking in this layout are from a trip quite a few years ago that we made into Manhattan. We were celebrating my younger daughter's 15th birthday, and I have so many photos from this occasion. We went to a restaurant called the Sugar Factory. I just took a whole slew of pictures. They had many different courses, and a lot of the things that they served were definitely photo opportunities. And I was finally thinking that I really need to wrap up scrapbooking this one day. I decided to take the majority of the photos that were left and cut them into smaller pieces to put on either side of the layout. And then I have 2 larger photos that I'm going to be putting in the center. I mounted these 3 smaller photos on a piece of off-white pattern paper, and then I mounted them again on that same blue dotted paper I used for the circle in the center of the layout. Normally, I don't like to cut out a lot of the background. I think that's a really important part of documenting any event. Sometimes the things that are happening in the background are the things that everyone looks at years later, maybe even more than the subject of the photo. So I do like to leave the background in, but I have so many photos that I already scrapbooked that have a full view of the whole background so that I can look back and see the restaurant. And those smaller photos measure 3 inches by 3.5 inches. And the larger photos in the center are 3.5 inches by 5 inches. And I'm mounting those photos on the same pattern paper that I mounted the smaller photos on. And then I'm going to use a colorful paper to put behind those two photos. I have a pink paper for the photo on the right and a yellow paper for the photo on the left. I'm going to mat them on those colors, and then later on, after I finished making the video, I was thinking that since everything else has a black border on it, I really wanted to make these center photos with a black border as well. You won't see the black mat until the final photographs at the end. I really think that the black helps those photos stand out a little bit. I love to include photo corners on my layout. At first, I tried using the stripe paper that I already have on the layout to punch out photo corners, and I didn't end up liking that, so I decided instead to use this blue paper. And I liked the way it didn't add another different color, since there are so many different colors. There's the striped paper, there's the different color brads. I thought that the consistency of having the blue photo corners throughout the layout made it look a little bit better than having the different colored photo corners. I had a pack of thickers that was birthday themed, so I chose this title that says Party Time. I thought the color was perfect. It matched with the pattern papers. I thought it was the right size, and I liked the way the yellow was very readable on top of the blue color. So I'm calling this layout Party Time. And I place the party on the left-hand side and the word time on the lower right-hand side. I am keeping this a very symmetrical layout. I usually like to have a little bit of asymmetry, but there's really not a lot. The two sides definitely mirror each other. I was also thinking that I wanted to add a black border along the side of each of those strips of photos. So I didn't have a 12-inch strip of that paper anymore, so I decided to piece it together. I think that worked out fine. I really don't think that you could tell that it's pieced together unless you were looking for it. Then I cut the strip down to size, added some adhesive to the back, I stuck it into place, and then I did the same thing on the other side. I like to add enamel dots or pearls or some little detail to the photo corners. So I started out with some matching enamel dots. They were from the Simple Stories collection that I used. But then I was thinking that, once again, it was just too many different colors, so I decided to switch those out and just use black enamel dots on all of the photo corners. And I definitely like that better. I like the idea of just using that one color, black, and the enamel dots, some of them anyway, the yellow ones and the orange ones, they were very bright, and I don't think they exactly match the rest of the page, so I think that was a good change for the layout. Once I had all of the enamel dots in place, I started to think about what kind of embellishments I wanted to add to the page. It was a little tricky because I already have all of those brads going around the large circle. However, I didn't think that the brads were enough. I thought I needed something more, so I was trying to think of a way that I could add some more embellishments but not overdo it. I added 2 embellishments. I added a party hat over the word party, and then I added a party favor to the right of the word time. I think that's one of those party favors where confetti comes out of it. I thought that was a cute shape. And then I was trying to think what I could add to the background that would be a little different from the brads, and I found these corkscrew confetti pieces. I love this shape. I think it is just perfect for celebration layouts. So they had chipboard confetti pieces in lots of different colors, and I decided to add it just to a couple of different areas on the background. And then I added some Studio Calico sparkly gold star stickers as well. Once I had everything in place, I went around with the ATG adhesive and I attached everything down to the page. I was really happy that I was able to fit 8 photos on this page. I am almost done scrapbooking this event finally, and I'm working toward finishing up this album. It's going to be a concentration of mine. I have to get those last photos scrapbooked. I love the feeling of finishing a whole album, so I'm hoping to have that done soon. I spent a little bit of time moving around some of those embellishments in the background. I just kept switching them until I was happy with the way that they looked. That's the last touch. The layout is complete, and here are some close-ups. Thank you so much for watching this video, everybody. If you take a look in the description box, you'll find links to the other videos of all the other scrapbookers who are taking part in this hop Stretch the Sketch this month. I really hope that you'll check them out. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I hope you have a fantastic day. I'll see you again soon, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.